Well, g'day there. How you going? It's Brad Vanders here with OFFGRID Now, and today in this video we're going to be looking at the Excelso power cabinet. This video is meant to be an information video, just detailing the cabinet specifications, solar panel requirements. We'll touch a little bit on generators and also on some general installation tips. So quickly, just a bit about us and what we do. So we're an Australian company and we make a standalone power cabinet that is an Australian-made certified product. We have a suite of 5 products. We've got the Piccolo, which is our smallest one, up to the Excelso, which we're talking about today, and the Daily Grind, the Robusta, and the Forza power cabinet. Our goal is to become your off-grid energy partner. We're not a fly-by-night company trying to hawk batteries or whatever with whatever the current rebate system is. We're a long-term company that looks to build a good future here in Australia and to support you as you make the transition to off-grid living. We have systems available for tiny homes up to multi-dwelling homesteads and hundreds of systems installed across Australia at this point. And we have the capability to install in all eastern states of Australia and also down in South Australia. Okay, so as I mentioned, this video is about the Excelso. Now the Excelso, it's one of our smaller systems designed for low demand sort of options. It is the system that goes on 90% of the tiny homes that we deal with, or eco cottages, and just for standard demand, maybe a tiny house with an air conditioner, something like that. It can be coupled with up to 9 kilowatts of solar panels, and it has a battery capacity of 15.36 kilowatt hours. So there it is there. It's meant to be designed as a beautiful power cabinet, and it's definitely our most popular system for the smaller site office, eco cottage, tiny house marketplace. We've put a lot of effort into trying to make a system that actually looks nice, pleasant, and to connect well with the structure that's been built and for which it's supplying power. So just to quickly break this down, you may be aware of this, but that in our system is the inverter. The inverter is the piece of equipment that's taking that solar power from the solar panels and bringing it down, converting it into power that we can charge the batteries with and run your home. We have an integrated switchboard that's installed in the Excelso up the top. The input and outputs are on the side of the cabinet and at the back, which we'll show in a later slide. The battery modules, so we have a rack-mounted battery. There's up to 3 module slots in the Excelso, and we have a swing door. We used to have a pull-off door that you just pull off at the front. It was not very ergonomic and difficult for some people to remove, so we've moved to a swing door. I think that's a smart option for us and for you. So yeah, another 2 shots of the cabinet. So again, a lot of effort going into designing a nice cabinet, a pleasant cabinet that's very well made, and that will house everything neatly and protect it inside for many, many years. We do have a 10-year warranty, so a lot of our effort is really into producing a really well-made cabinet. All right, so to break the cabinet down, it's about 1300 mil high, and the base is about 630 by 580 mil. Our Piccolo, Excelso, Daily Grind, and Robusta cabinets all have the same footprint. The big double-doored Forza is obviously a lot wider. And we've designed this to be about the same footprint as a traditional hot water system. We envision this as a product that's going to go beside a house or beside a shed or just somewhere alongside, even a hot water system or some sort of appliance that just blends in, fits in, and supplies that power reliably. It's about almost 200 kilograms of weight when it's full of batteries, so a bit of weight to consider there. We have it manufactured out of 3mm aluminium. It's made in Brisbane. It then comes to the Sunshine Coast for powder coating in Kunda Park, and then it comes to us at the assembly facility there at Coolum Beach, where it all gets put together. We have designed it with a lockable door. You can sort of see 2 locks there. We just want to keep little hands. We don't want little fingers and hands getting in there. We want to keep it locked up, and also for security, you do have the option of locking that up to protect the contents inside. There's a cable access at the rear, so all of our Sparkies can just run their conduits through. It is a plug-and-play system, right? So when we deliver it to you, it's been fully put together, fully tested. The batteries are fully charged. The Sparky's literally rolling it up beside the side of the the building, and then they're running their conduits in the back through that cable access. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the cabinet comes with a 10-year warranty. It's definitely built to last. Initially, we were using like a fiberglass cabinet. They were very finicky, very expensive to build. We then were using off-the-shelf cabinets from overseas, and they were just rusting out. They just were not able to stand the elements here that we have in Australia. So that's when we made the decision to go, you know what, we're just going to design and manufacture our own power cabinet. That's very high quality, will survive the coast and the rugged conditions in Australia. And that's why I've gone for that 3mm aluminium and powder coated. And yeah, we got the Australian made certification as well. So proudly Australian made. So all of our systems incorporate active ventilation. We don't have any like mini air conditioners installed inside or anything like that. It's thermostat controlled with cooling fans. We have a removable mesh intake filter that sits slots in the bottom and a grilled outlet vent. So to give you an idea, the cool air is drawn up through the bottom and then vents out the top, and that's where the hot air goes. So our fans, our cooling fans sort of sit up in here. We have a thermostat that when the temperature inside the cabinet hits 30 degrees, it automatically switches on and starts to pull that cooler air up through the bottom, over the batteries, past the inverter, then vents out the top. We have a removable mesh intake filter down here, and that's to stop any rodents or bugs or any particulates getting through as those fans engage. It can be pulled out, vacuumed just to clean at any time. Then we have a grilled outlet vent at the top. Again, we want to limit rodents or any sort of pests or things that can get in there that are going to cause problems. And so really from a ventilation point of view, from a thermal management, thank you. We don't really have problems in the heat. Like we have these systems all the way up into North Queensland. Heat's not an issue with this active ventilation. Definitely the cold can be an issue of charging batteries. So in areas where there's lots of sub-zero temperatures, we'll install a heating kit as well just to keep that temperature up so the batteries can charge. All right, so all of our systems have an integrated switchboard, so a sub-main with one protected circuit. That one protected circuit goes to a 15 amp GPO on the side of the cabinet, and so anything can be plugged into there. Any 240 volt appliance can be plugged into that plug, and off you go. It has up to 6 protected circuits, so you could have 2 or 3 GPOs on the outside of the cabinet. Or if you have a smaller, eco cottage or tiny home, you may use this as your switchboard and run your circuits directly off that. Most of the time, though, our sub-main is hardwired direct to the main switch on a house and connects in that way. We also have a changeover for backup, which is important to note. So, for example, if your inverter were to fail, if your inverter fails, your inverter can no longer take that energy from the solar on the roof and send it to your batteries to power everything that's happening. Now, we've moved to a Daya inverter, which I'll cover shortly. We love the Daya inverters. We haven't had one fail yet. They've been a fantastic product. But if that inverter were to fail, you've got no power. So we have a built-in changeover for backup. So if the inverter fails, we can then flick that switch and then you can charge your batteries from the grid or from your generator so that you still have power in the house. So that's very important to know that you do have that backup option, and then while that generator issue is being contended with, you already have you maintain a power supply to keep things moving along. So yeah, I mentioned Daya inverters. So Daya inverters are fast becoming the most popular off-grid inverter. The main reason for that is they have a built-in charge controller and a generator port, and they are just very reliable, as we mentioned. They're a very good product. In the Excelso, we use the Daya Sun 6K. It's a 6,000 watt output power inverter with about 29 amps, and it can take up to 9 kilowatts of solar panels. Now, it also has a 10-year warranty, and we've, again, had a great experience with this inverter. In the Excelso, in the Piccolo system, we usually install a 5 kilowatt inverter with 10 kilowatt hours maximum battery. If you only need a 5 kilowatt inverter, but you want some more battery space, like up to 15 kilowatt hours of capacity, we can supply the Excelso with a 5 kilowatt inverter. So our battery module is a rack mounted battery. So you can see here, This is an example of a rack-mounted battery. There are many different brands of this style of battery, and they're all very much the same dimensions, and they're designed to be slid into the bottom of our cabinet, secured, and then we can hook up all the plugs to connect them together into the system. Now, with all the demand created by the SDC rebate scheme expanding to batteries, we moved to a Kaijo battery. They're a long-term company. They've been around for many, many years. Established in 1993, actually. They have a 10-year warranty, and the warranty is available on our website. But basically, the warranty states that the module will retain 70% of its usable energy for 10 years from the warranty start date. So we're happy with the battery. It's working really well in our system, and that's currently the battery module we're using in the Off-Grid Now Power cabinets. In terms of inputs and outputs, we mentioned before that there's a 15 amp GPIO that's put on the outside of the cabinet. You can see there is the example of that. So in this case, you could plug a power board or appliance directly into that and draw power from the system. So one of our recent customers, they have a caravan that's installed in the shed. They just want to plug in the caravan, and then eventually they're going to set up the shed as a small workshop. In this case, there's a 15 amp generator input on the side of the cabinet. So this customer actually had a 15 amp generator, and they just wanted to run an extension cord from that to charge the batteries. Now, with an Excelso system, that has a 6 kilowatt inverter with 29 amps, we really want that to be a 32 amp backup generator. So if it is a 32 amp backup generator, we'll provide a cable that's hardwired into the back in that removable conduit panel, and then it will have a 32 amp threaded screw plug on the end that will connect into the generator. You can have additional GPIOs on the outside of the cabinet on request. So with connectivity, all of our systems do come with a 4G dongle. So it's a wireless dongle that connects in, and that comes preloaded with a SIM card, and that helps us. It just helps to communicate the information that's coming through your system up to the Data Cloud, which we can use for remote support. You can hook up your cabinet to a Starlink or a Starlink Mini, or any wireless connection really, or Ethernet connection if you need to. At the end of the day, we really want it to be connected to the internet in some way, shape or form for two reasons. One, it will keep your Data Cloud app on your smart device updated so that you can keep track of what's happening with your system. And two, obviously, if you have an issue or there's some support required, we can monitor things back from the office and have a look and just make sure everything's running. We do monitor it also for the first few weeks after we install, just to make sure everything's going well for you. And the Data Cloud app, it's very user friendly. Gives you a nice display on what power's coming in, how your battery state of charge are, how your generator's going, and we go over that with you on installation. So when you live off grid, you have no backup, right? So if you have a grid connection and you want to go fully off grid, like you run your power to your house as a standalone power system, you can have the grid as backup, where the grid's coming in, and then when your batteries hit a certain state of charge, usually 20%, the grid will switch on and start to charge your batteries up. You're always drawing power from the batteries, not necessarily directly from the grid, or in this case, directly from a generator. So the other major backup backup option is a generator. Now with the Excelso 6, the MaxWatt MX6000 IS petrol auto start generator is definitely our generator of choice. It's a good balance of quality and price, and it's very reliable. You're not going to be using it a whole heap if it's designed right, and that really comes down to how much solar you have, which we're going to cover very soon. Now you can connect to that with a 15, has one 15 and one 32 amp outlet. So in this case, if we had a MaxWatt MX6000 hooked up to your Excelso, we'd hardwire a 32 amp cable into the back of our cabinet, or at least we'd supply that with a 32 amp screw plug, and then on site the Sparky will wire that in and hook that up to the generator. It is auto start as well, so just like we spoke about the grid turning on or the grid coming through when your batteries hit 20%, with a backup generator, if the battery state of charge hits 20%, it automatically kicks on. It charges those batteries up to 50% and then automatically cuts out. You can bring any generator you like, where we don't mind what generator you have. We like the Maxwatt because it is auto start. If you have another generator and it's manual start, just be aware that you'll have to monitor your battery state of charge on your app. And if it gets down too low, you don't want it running to zero. It's important for the health of the battery, the long-term health, that state of charge doesn't drop below 20%. So if you do have a manual start generator, just be wary. You will be having to manually start that to charge your batteries back up, and it's probably going to happen late at night because that's when your batteries are going to be running out. It's going to be when it's dark and you might have a trip outside. So have a good think about that. We can supply quotes for the generators, or you can bring your own, but try and get 2-wire auto start. Okay, so solar panels really are the limitation, especially on smaller buildings like site offices. Well, site offices not so much because they're usually only running during the day, but tiny homes, eco cottages, anything where there's nighttime usage, it gets a bit tricky with how much solar you have. So as an example, the Excelso can take up to 9 kilowatts of solar panels, but we recommend a minimum of 3, really 4 is what we want. We say a minimum of 3 because a lot of these tiny home or these smaller sort of demountable buildings or relocatable buildings are only 6 meters by 3 meters. Now, you can only fit 5 590 watt panels on the roof of a 6 by 3 meter structure, which is about 2.95 kilowatts. So if you are limited in roof space, that's all you're going to get on there. You may need to be thinking about it. Now, you can run an Excelso off that. You're just going to be using a generator fairly frequently, particularly if you have like an air conditioner, because as you're using these appliances, if you get a bit of a cloudy day, you're not going to get as much state of charge into the batteries. So, you can get away with 3 kilowatts, and you may only be able to fit 3 kilowatts. There are other ways you can expand that, which we'll sort of cover. If you have an 8.4 by 3 meter building, which is another common size for tiny homes, again, you could fit 4 kilowatts on there. So you've got 7 by 590 watt panels that can go on there for about 4.1 kilowatts. So that's fine. I think the feedback we have is when someone has an Excelso system with 3 kilowatts of solar and they just start using the air conditioner a lot, they're running out of battery heaps and the generator's operating a lot. With 4 kilowatts, it's less so, obviously. The customers that don't have very many problems at all with that have 5 or 6 kilowatts of solar. Now, if you can't fit the additional solar on the roof, where are you going to put it? So you could put it on an awning, you could put it on a ground mount system or something else, or even some sort of DIY type structure to try and expand those solar panels, or even on a nearby shed or shipping container. So ground mount solar, we do have a lot of systems going out with ground mount these days. Now, this is a ground mount array. It's quite a large one here. Like every 2 panels, there's 1 kilowatt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have a 6 kilowatt ground mount array, it's going to be on 2 posts, maybe 3 posts. So that's there's a bit of work required to get those installed. There's also a bit of cost, obviously, in the frame. We're not going to take any chances with the ground mount frame. We're going to supply a wind rated frame, not unlike you would see in a solar farm as you drive along the side of a road. Now, they're useful for a few reasons. If the property's owned, then it's great. It's a long-term solution, or if you're having a long-term arrangement with a family member, a ground mount can go in, you can get it in the right spot facing north, you can put your tiny house or cottage wherever you like. They're also very easy to clean. That's a big issue for a lot of tiny home owners who do not want to be hanging off a ladder cleaning the solar panels on top. It's much easier to access them on the ground. Now, that definitely is something to consider because, with a smaller solar array, you might find you need to clean them a bit more frequently than, say, like a 14 kilowatt system on a house. It's a smaller array, they get dirty, they need to have a bit of a clean with some soapy water, and you can either, if you're going to do that, you do it early in the morning or late at night. You don't do it in the middle of a hot day. You don't want to crack them or risk any damage to the panels. But with a ground mount system, also it allows the panels to be installed away from the home or hidden if you like. So one of our customers had this beautiful Airbnb. for whatever reason, didn't like the look of solar panels, didn't want them on the roof. So we did a ground mount system behind a grove of trees, and that works perfectly fine. In terms of installing the cabinets, this is a piccolo, but a lot of tiny homes have them installed on the drawbar. There's a window there. A lot of them don't have windows, but if there's no window there, then you can just put it right there. The piccolo actually was designed for some of these tiny houses with a window on one end. Now, they're either installed on the drawbar or they're installed on a concrete slab. So this concrete slab here, that's a daily grind system, which is the next step up with a generator. It's been hardwired straight into this home. This is a long-term home. It's not going anywhere. Now, in terms of how we connect the system to the existing wiring on the building, if it's on the drawbar, it'll be bolted to that drawbar and designed to stay there long term. So we would hardwire our switch straight into the switch on the tiny house, excuse me, or we would hardwire in the back to a 15 or 32 amp plug and plug into the tiny home. If in the situation where this tiny home was going to be moving around a lot, and you didn't have space for the cabinet on the drawbar, and it was sitting beside the tiny home on a slab like this or on some pavers, then you really want a hardwired plug so that you can just plug it in, and that way if anything needs to be removed, the batteries can be removed, the plug can be unplugged, and you can relocate the tiny home and then install the cabinet later. In this case, this would be hardwired straight into the house. Or hardwired in the back of the cabinet straight into a threaded screw terminal or something like that on the outside. So just a quick note on the Excelso application. This is Stephanie. Stephanie's a lovely customer that we have up in Curra, a bit north of Gympie. She has had the Excelso system now for quite a while, a couple of years, and 4 kilowatts of solar on the roof, had an Excelso with a 6 kilowatt inverter and about 10 kilowatt hours of batteries to start with. Eventually, Stephanie needed to go to 15 kilowatt hours, and it's a tiny home with all the bells and whistles. It's got obviously a water tank pressure pump, electric oven, gas cooktop, your kettle, microwave, coffee machine, a 2.5 kilowatt split system aircon, washing machine, I think a dryer as well, or maybe a combo. Stephanie also has a 6 kVA backup generator. Now, for Stephanie, she's from Canada actually, and we've got a great customer story on our website. But for her, being in Canada, she travelled home. It was very cool. Came back to Australia, it was very hot, so she had that air conditioner just pumping to try and acclimatise. And that really drained the batteries, and it became pretty clear that although if she managed the time right, Stephanie could get through the full day with the system that she has, but it became pretty clear that expansion of the solar panels was going to be necessary. So with that 4 kilowatts and running everything, Stephanie generally has enough battery power to get through the day, but there have definitely been days where that backup generator is in use. So in this case, Stephanie has plans to build an awning and then add another 2 kilowatts of solar for a total of 6. And that'll keep her going nicely. But this is a beautiful tiny home. There's photos on our website and her customer story, and all the bells and whistles. It's a very, very nice home. It has fairly high power demands for a tiny home. Just a quick word on solar trailers. So solar trailers were designed for tiny home applications. This is our smaller one, the Solar Mobi. You can see the Excelsos on the front there, generator underneath, and then the panels sort of fold out. The tiny home is not always the best spot for solar for a number of reasons. Now, you're not going to necessarily get more panels on a solar trailer because there's still a lot of structural and engineering work that goes into a solar trailer to fit panels. But in the case where you have a beautiful spot, a great view, like you want the tiny house on the side of that hill, looking over that valley or over that waterscape, then maybe you want to it's shady, or you need your solar somewhere else. So the trailer could be installed in a paddock, 30, 50 meters away. And then if you have tall tree cover and things like that, that solar trailer can be moved around to where the best solar generation is throughout the year, be it winter or summer. It's a great option for that, and particularly with the smaller systems. Also very easy to clean, and they can be relocated to another property. So look, thank you for watching this video. That's Stephanie there. Stephanie's living a great off-grid lifestyle. has a beautiful garden, and the Excelso is making that all possible for her on a tiny home. And we have hundreds of these systems across Australia, and they're working really, really well. So we would really love to work with you to install an Excelso to get you off grid. We love our customers. We really want that customer journey to be as smooth. If it's a transition, if you haven't lived off grid before, it can be quite daunting. So we want to sort of help you make that transition over to off grid living. You really, it's just such a special thing right now to go off grid. It's pretty new, pretty novel, and so many of our customers just can't believe they're powering their life with the sun, and no more power bills and all that. So, look, thank you for watching. If you'd like to make an inquiry, you can go to our website and do a fast quote request, and that can get you along your way. Or you can go to the contact us page and put a message through, and we'll be sure to get in touch. All right, thank you for watching the video. You have a great day and take care. Bye.